Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome. Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to the Ghost and Molly McGee episode 15. So, last time we got kind of cock teased, as I said, because we got little hints that something important was about to happen, but it didn't. It was more teasing for the future, and it's like we're now 15 episodes in. And it hasn't gotten to story stuff yet, like progressive, ongoing story stuff. And here's the thing. As I said last time, I'm still enjoying the shit out of this show. It's still a good comfort show for me, and the lack of story stuff isn't really bothering me. But it's just the fact that it teased us with that last time. We thought we were going to get something a little bigger, and all we got was just a tiny little bit. And it's I just wish we would have had a little more there. But it seems like, as some others had pointed out in the comments and stuff, the big thing here is that Molly now knows about the Ghost Council and all, which I was unsure if Scratch had already told her about that. I was not sure if that had been mentioned before. Because you know me, I forget about things like that, but apparently, from what I can tell now, she didn't know. Scratch was keeping that a secret still, and I can kind of see why. So, she's more aware now of things, of Scratch's situation and all. But to exactly what degree, who knows? Who knows if they talked about more about it afterwards and everything, after that entire situation. I don't know. It's hard to say with this series. But I mean, with how this season is going, I'm still not sure how many episodes it's planned for. Let me see if I can find out real quick. Because if this is going to be pretty normal length, it's probably nearing the end of the season, I would think. Let me see. Yeah, I know it's renewed for a second season. This isn't saying anything here. For a list of episodes, it's just showing how many are released so far. So, I mean, that could possibly mean that there's going to be more episodes to the season. It could end up being something like Steven Universe or something, where the first season had a lot more episodes. But honestly, unless we hear something about it, one way or the other, we don't really know. But yeah. I'm still excited. Like I said, I'm still enjoying this series nonetheless, even no matter what big story stuff ends up coming along. It's still a great series, and I'm excited to see what new shenanigans these characters get into next. I obviously know nothing going forward with this episode and its two segments or anything from the future. I don't know how much has even been, like, maybe talked about by the creators or just shared on social media or whatever. Um, because this series really doesn't get the attention it deserves from people, at least not as much as other ones. I mean, obviously, other shows like Owl House get a lot of attention, especially right now with it coming back this weekend. But, and it definitely deserves it, but at the same time, Ghost of Molly McGee is right up there with shows like The Owl House. So it's like, where's the attention for that? I don't know. It's all subjective, of course, just in terms of it being up there with The Owl House. That's my opinion, obviously, but like it's not getting the same attention, and that's really disappointing to me. But we're just gonna have to see what happens and just continue on with it. I'll still love on this series, even if it's not as popular as other ones. So let's get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I can definitely hear it going back. I can definitely hear it. It's just like, I just wasn't expecting it. So it just didn't click with me. But it kind of works because of Danny Trejo's kind of, typical character roles. A lot of times he does tend to play like this kind of cool badass character, like Machete and all. I haven't seen those movies, but I mean, I know the character from Spy Kids because it's technically the same character, which is kind of weird thinking. But yeah, Danny Trejo is obviously just an absolute treasure. He's super wholesome. He's everyone's favorite Tio. It's just we love the shit out of him. How can you not? I so did not expect that. It's awesome though. It's really awesome. And that definitely bumps up his character, Bobby, just quite a few levels for me. But let's talk about these in order. So, the first segment of this episode was scare tactics. And we have kind of a segmented story. I wouldn't even call them an A plot and a B plot because both of them kind of interconnect. If you had to name one the A plot, it would be Scratches, though, which is actually kind of surprising. Usually it would focus more on Molly, I feel. But no, Scratches here is actually the A plot for sure, if you wanted to count it. But again, because they do interconnect, because they do just work together so seamlessly and necessarily for the plot and everything for both sides, it makes more sense to just see them as kind of one interconnected thing rather than, separated out like that. So, Scratch has to go to this ghost seminar for the day. It's a thing that happens every year. It's a mandatory seminar, and apparently, even though it's the same every year, they have to keep doing it. It's like, yeah, I'm sure there's things like that in real life, obviously. It's just like, why, though? Like, that just seems unnecessary. If it's exactly the same every year, like, yeah, if there's new, in this case, ghosts, they should go, but it's like, why would you have the ones who have been doing this for a while going to the same thing every year? Like, you could do some kind of, like, checkup thing instead, where it's like, oh, you just go in, see how you're doing and all, but that's kind of what the Ghost Council already does, so it's like, it just doesn't seem necessary. But Scratch has to do it anyways, and while there, he ends up seeing Jeff. Because, yeah, Jeff would be there too, naturally. Um, so he and Jeff decide to skip. They make some gelatin fakes of themselves and head out to have some fun. And this is probably the first time we see Scratch and Jeff actually genuinely having fun together. Because usually, Scratch is very judgy of Jeff. He finds him annoying and he doesn't really like to hang out with him. He uses him a lot. But here, he actually was having fun with him. And granted, yes, he was kind of using him to get out of the seminar and everything. But still, like, he was genuinely enjoying his presence there. And that's interesting. I think Scratch is just a grumpy curmudgeon, and that if he actually gives people a chance, he'll actually enjoy their company a lot more. I mean, we've already seen that with Molly, and now we're kind of seeing it with Jeff as well. So that's interesting. Once they get back, though, they realize that the seminar is going to be changing things up, and they actually have to give basically a presentation. Jeff nails his because he pays attention every year. And since it is the same every year, he knows exactly what to do when asked to give this specific scare. Plus, apparently, he's really good at scaring, which is an interesting little tidbit. But when Scratch goes up, he fails his and is almost banished to the flow of failed phantoms. The only thing that saves him is actually Jeff. Jeff legitimately saves his afterlife and convinces Pango and the chairman to see what he is kind of doing in the human world, to see his progress there as a kind of quote-unquote new form of scaring. So they check it out, and luckily Molly's plot allows her to be in a very fearful situation at the moment, which Pango and the chairman approve of, so it all works out. And let's get to Molly's plot. So while Scratch is gone, Molly is dealing with Daryl's pet tarantula. She sees it in her room and is scared of it because Molly is scared of spiders. We kind of got that before in what episode was that? It was the one with it was the mock trial episode. That's right. In the mock trial episode, where Scratch was being accused of eating the anniversary cake, we got that little hint when Daryl mentioned his tarantula and everything, that Molly and a couple of others were afraid of it because spiders, and it's like, yeah. So here we have to see Molly dealing with it, and she's trying to catch it because she doesn't want to kill it because it's Daryl's pet, and she understands that. And that's kind of where my thoughts would be. It's like, if I saw that, it's like, okay, I'm not going to kill you because you're a pet, but I'm very much going to need to try to capture you and put you back in your tank or whatever. So that's what she tries to do, but it's not going super well, and she finds out through calling Daryl that the spider is pregnant and is on the verge of giving birth. And spiders, as was made very clear in this, can give birth to a lot of babies at once. Although technically, I think they actually lay eggs. So it's like, it's not actually like giving birth in that way. They lay eggs and then the eggs like hatch eventually. So it's like, it wouldn't be instantaneous like this episode really portrays. But yeah, she's freaking out over that as well. And at the end, when we see her being scared, she's kind of lost track of the spider and is just freaking out. So after the seminar and everything, Scratch returns, finds Molly in fairly good spirits, but we find out that she's just like abandoned the house, and it's like, yep, the house belongs to the spiders now, and we see them inside, and it's like the main one with all the babies, and it's like, oh, yeah, I think Daryl needs to get back. Yeah, I would abandon the house too at that point. Um, it was a fun episode for sure. Wasn't my favorite, but I very much enjoyed it. Um, and it gave us a little bit of world building on how the ghosts and everything work and how all of that goes down. But then we got to the second episode. Bad Boy Bobby Daniels, I think it was. Hold on, I think I still have the episode list up so I can just check on there. Yeah, Bad Boy Bobby Daniels. So in this episode, Molly is hanging out with Patty as she tends to do, and Patty tells her this story about her one regret in life, which was her relationship and falling out with the bad boy of Brighton, Bobby Daniels. Bobby was just your typical motorcycle bad boy. And as I said in the reaction, I don't get the appeal. Like, I've never understood the appeal of a character like that in anything. Or even, like, I guess in real life. It's like, why do people find. Why was that a thing? I know that was a thing in real life. Why were women attracted to bad boys? I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. In fact, it actually seems very toxic almost, or at least the possibility of toxic. Um, and although Bobby seems like he was a really stand-up guy, it's just like in a lot of cases, it's like the entire bad boy thing. It's like wasn't just a persona, and some of those people were actually pretty terrible. So yeah, I just never understood it. It makes no sense to me, and it's like, why would anyone want that? But Patty clearly did, and they were going to ride out together, but apparently Bobby just left on his own. Molly and Scratch go to find Bobby. Currently, he's in a town over, and they find him working at the library. Not, I wouldn't say a shell of his former self, because it's like he seems very content with his life now. Um, but he's definitely not the bad boy he used to be. Um, and I'm still really like just it's wild that he's voiced by Danny Trejo. It's like again, I can hear it now that I know. Of course, that's how it tends to go. But it's like it's just it's so good. I really like Danny Trejo. Okay. Um, but yeah, it's great seeing him in this role, and we see that Bobby is like he's willing to try and go back into that bad boy persona and everything because he still very clearly cares about Patty. But he's not really doing well at it. He's kind of lost his touch because, of course, it's been a long time. So after it seems like everything doesn't work out, Molly ends up doing one last trick and sending a fake note to have Bobby come to where Patty already is, to trick him into basically making a fake delivery. And apparently, this is something that happens to him a lot because his reaction was very much like it was very much of someone who's been through this plenty of times before. So he's just kind of dealing with it all. And when he sees Patty again, they kind of fall back in love, but eventually she has to confront him. Why did you leave without me and everything? And we find out that her friend left a fake note. And it was basically because she didn't want Patty to be lost to her. She didn't want to lose Patty to Bobby. I was thinking it was going to be otherwise, but yeah. It was cute and it had a good lesson in the end, so I can't be upset. Either way, tell me your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.